How was that for an explosive teaser? Hello and welcome back to Ride Rescue. In this episode, as you can tell, I'm going to attempt to start this car again. But since I had to send the heater core out and I've got the heater hoses off, I don't want to do a cold start, literally, without any antifreeze in the car. So I decided I'll go ahead and put the front clip on the car, get the hood on, get things adjusted. By then I should have the heater core back. I can get the heater core back in, and then we can finally start this thing up. So I scuffed up my brand new paint before I put my emblem on, and then I go back through with some steel wool and just kind of scuff it up even more all around the edges. Give it a worn look, like it's been polished and left dirty and polished and left dirty. Color-wise, it's a little darker and a little purpler. It's probably just because of the age and the fading. So definitely won't be polishing it. I don't want to be waxing it. We want to get it out in the sun, age it as much as possible. We pop the trim into place. The Ventura logo and the side trim. There's a little piece of trim that goes across the nose. So I just set the fender on to see how it matched up, and you can see down below where the finish is shiny, it doesn't match very well to the door. But I took the scouring pad and some steel wool to the top of the fender and scuffed it up so that it has the same sheen as the door. And got some adjusting to do to get it to tie in. I'm real pleased. The blanket over the windshield is to protect the edges of the glass. The rubber seal for the windshield was completely corroded, so I took it out and I bought a new seal for it. I'm going to need some help. That's a big piece of glass. Like many of us that are DIY guys, sometimes we have to find ways when we're working alone to get a job done. So what I've done here, this hood probably weighs, I don't know, 40-50 pounds. It is a very heavy, very large hood. So I have set it up on my engine hoist with straps. I will lift it up into place and hopefully I don't have any mishaps. I wasn't able to find any obvious signs of damage or leaks in the core, so I took it to a shop here in town in Salt Lake City that I've used before. It's A1 Radiator. They were able to find there was just a hairline separation right around this neck. They soldered it up for me. It only took them a few minutes, and fabulous guys down there. Not only did they fix it and pressure test it for me, but they did it at no charge. One of those things where they want to get the word out, so I am very pleased to get the word out for them. Let everybody know, A1 Radiator, there's several locations across the country. Did a fantastic job getting this back together for me, testing it, and finding that there was no other issues. Thank you guys, and one thing I do need to point out, this had a little plastic piece that held this. It should be held just off of the core, it shouldn't be touching it. I'm going to create a new one. It's not a piece that I can find, but I'm just going to wrap a zip tie around this area and poke it through the core, because that's essentially what that little piece of plastic was doing. And that should hold this secure as well as in position where it should be, since that piece I can't find anywhere online in any of my searchings. I'll put this back together. I won't bore you with all the details of installing it, since I did show you how it all came out. So I'll get that back in, get the heater hoses hooked up, and fill it back with antifreeze, and I can finally start this old beast. As I'm putting this heater back together, one of the things I like to check on these older parts is the vacuum actuators. Vacuum from the motor draws suction on these diaphragms, and it'll open or close different aspects about the heating system. There's two of them on this heater. This one is for the defroster. The other one is a regulator on where the heat goes, for the floor or to the panel. You can use a vacuum gun, basically, I guess you could call it, and suck air into this and check the actuator. But the simplest way that I have found over the years, you don't even have to worry about testing the vacuum, is to just actuate the travel, put your finger over the end of the hole. If it holds, it's got adequate vacuum, meaning the diaphragm isn't going to leak. There's no holes in that diaphragm. When I let my finger off, you can see the travel. You can hear the hiss of the movement. So I'll activate it again, hold my finger on it, it stays, let go, it moves. That diaphragm is good. I'll do the same thing with the other actuator. Test it as well. This has a baffle basically that blocks off so that when the heater isn't being used, you don't have cold air coming into through the system. So activate it, plug it, it doesn't move, it stays put, let off, and it goes. So that diaphragm also is good. I cleaned this one up and sprayed it with a zinc coat look, to make it look like that was actually zinc coated. If I was doing a concourse type of a show quality car and I want everything on this to be factory original look, I would actually re-zinc coat these parts. This was zinc coated. The other items that typically on a concourse that you would want to zinc coat would be hinges, latches, and the master brake booster would have been zinc as well. So, but I'm not going for a real high-end show finish on this, but these parts could easily be redone and this car could become a concourse candidate. It does have all of its original parts, and the quality and the finishes on most of these parts could easily be taken to a concourse finish. Alright, I got the heater core back in, I've got the lines all hooked up, heater hoses, I'll fill it back full of antifreeze. Let's start this thing up. Okay, I probably have about a half a gallon left to go. I'm going to hold off. Once I get the system circulated and get some of the bubbles out of it, and I'll top it off. For now, we're good. And I'm trying to put a little bit of fuel in the center carburetor. Fingers crossed. I think we're going to have to breathe a little more fire in it. We'll put a little bit of fuel in each one of the carburetors. play it safe. There's a lot of unknowns with a rebuild. Carburetors and priming, spilling fuel. You want to be prepared. If you look closely at the battery, you'll see a little puff of smoke and a little bit of a spark. The battery terminal on the negative side was just a little bit loose. I'm hearing a little bit of fuel squirting, so I think we're getting fuel moving from the fuel pump, from the gas tank. I want to check all the lines for leaks. Got electricity, getting fuel, but my timing obviously is just a little bit off. A little more timing. Feels like it might be just a little bit too loose. It's going to spin on me too easy, so I need to tighten that up just a little bit. Okay, just another little minor setback. Nothing to be too concerned with right now. Everything is safe, but that's going to be another seal I need to replace. Well, I'm going to end up having to drop the power steering box out and put a new seal in. It's the seal that goes directly to the steering wheel. Unfortunate, but that's to be expected with something this old and it's been sitting that long. The seals just have a tendency to dry up. So back to trying to start it. Now that I know everything's safe and it's not leaking oil, I'm not leaking fuel. Try that again. Good sign. I'm close. Okay, had a little fire in the back barrel with that backfire. Putting a rag over it will put it out. We don't want to make a mess with the fire extinguisher if we don't have to. You got it. Now we know it'll run. I just need to do a little bit of timing and tuning, and for now I need to open up the garage and let in some fresh air. Alright, she's healthy. She runs strong. It's going to take a little bit of breaking in to get it to idle. Then I'll start working on setting the timing, setting the idle. Got just a teeny little bit of a antifreeze leak on this hose that I need to solve. There's no fuel leaks underneath. All the fuel lines connections look good. Don't see any leaking around the heater core, any of the hoses, or radiator hoses. Fantastic. So one of my biggest concerns with this motor was the fact that it had been sitting so long with water in it, obviously from all the water jackets throughout the block. A lot of rust. Like I was saying before, the water pump was completely rusted and locked up. So the best test now, after I've warmed this engine up and I've got it up to heat, is to test the oil. You probably can't even see that. The oil is so clean, but it is right at the top of the full line. And if there was a crack in the block or any damage to the block, it would have been filling up with antifreeze, and the oil would no longer be clean. So that's an excellent sign. Very happy with that. I'll admit I was worried that any cracks in that block or damage to the block might not have shown up. Okay, it's finally cooled down enough that I can take the cap off, check the fluid in the cap, and it's right up where it should be, which is another good sign. I've got good circulation through the heater and everything, so I don't need to top that off. There's no leaks underneath the car. I do need to finish filling the transmission. Well, I had the transmission out, I lost a few quarts. So now that I can get started up and let it idle, I'll be able to top the transmission off and then run it through the gears and make sure everything works. Well, that's it for this episode of Ride Rescue. I finally have the car running. Now I can start working on getting everything else all tuned and timed and adjust the transmission, get everything going. Real excited to get it out on the road. So watch for those videos real soon. Thanks again for watching. Bye now.